military exercises amidst what is among the largest. So here where we are in Trinidad and Tobago, we're only about 25 miles or so off the coast of Venezuela, and it's in this spot that the United States has chosen to conduct these joint military exercises amidst what is among the largest U.S. military buildups that we've seen in this region in decades. We now have the most lethal and most advanced aircraft carrier in the world, the USS Gerald R. Ford, moving into the region. Some 15,000 U.S. troops now in the waters off Venezuela, and President Trump not ruling out using at least some of those troops on the ground in a conflict with Venezuela. At the same time, he says he's also talking about diplomacy, saying he's willing to talk with Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. But we really don't know what the U.S. game plan is here. What is the end goal? There's a lot of confusion amidst all of this tension at the same time. For his part, President Nicolas Maduro of Venezuela saying that he wants peace publicly, but at the same time, he's calling up some 200,000 members of his country's military and militia members there. So just tension all around between the U.S. and Venezuela as we kind of wait to see how all this plays out. So here where we are.
Carrier, thousands of military personnel, Reaper drones and B-52 bombers, just part of the massive American military presence now off the coast of Venezuela as the Trump administration turns up the pressure on the Maduro administration over narcotics in the Caribbean. Matt Rivers is in the region.
James, here in Trinidad and Tobago, we're actually not far from the Venezuelan coast, just a couple of dozen miles or so, and it's in this area that the U.S. military has now launched these joint military exercises, and that's all part of what is now the largest military buildup from the U.S. in this part of the world in decades, all of which, of course, is focused on Nicolas Maduro, the president of Venezuela. President Trump, speaking in the Oval Office, once again refusing to rule out the option of U.S. troops going into Venezuela as he continues to decide on military strikes there. Also, not ruling out striking Mexico or Colombia, because as he says, drugs are the ultimate problem. He's going to do whatever it takes to stop them.
The world
off the coast of Venezuela. That right there is Venezuela. Right behind the camera, just a couple of hundred yards that way, is Trinidad and Tobago. That is the area where the U.S. military has been carrying out these exercises, and we actually just went past and saw a pair of U.S. warships. Now, we were not able to get close enough to see exactly which warships they were. We don't know for a fact if they are involved in these ongoing joint military exercises with which the U.S. is engaged in right now with Trinidad and Tobago. What we do know is where we saw them was just a couple of miles away from the Venezuelan coast. We know the Pentagon has said there's some 15,000 U.S. troops in the waters off the Venezuelan coast at this point. We know that the USS Gerald R. Ford, the most lethal, the most advanced aircraft carrier in the world, is moving into this region. That is why we are talking about tension in this area, and we got a chance to see that for ourselves firsthand. For his part, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro talking about peace, saying he wants peace, saying he wants to talk to President Trump. President Trump saying he's open to diplomacy as well, but at the same time, both sides, both men, both presidents are ramping up militarily. We've already talked about what the U.S. is doing. Some 200,000 members of the Venezuelan military and members of militias there have been mobilized as well by the Venezuelan government. So a very, very tense time here off the coast of Trinidad and Tobago. Right there is Venezuela. Just a very, very critical time in the relationship between the United States and Venezuela. Hey, there's
news in our own hemisphere. And breaking tonight, more troubling news in our own hemisphere. 2 Russian jets touching down in Venezuela this weekend, reportedly carrying dozens of Russian troops, along with a Russian defense official. National Security Advisor John Bolton tonight slamming Russia in a tweet saying, quote, "The United States sends food and medicine to help the people of Venezuela rather than sending nuclear-capable bombers and special forces to prop up a corrupt dictator. Russia should work with the international community to support the Venezuelan people." Here with me now is former U.S. Army Special Forces and Center for Security Policy Executive Vice President Jim Hansen. Good to see you, Jim. So how far do you think Russia is willing to go to protect Maduro?
by sending these troops, they have made a significant provocation and raised the stakes significantly. I mean, at this point, the U.S. has already recognized Juan Guaido as the rightful leader of Venezuela. So Russia coming in now and going against the will, as was mentioned, of 60 countries that support Guaido is a bad thing. And we should keep in mind, this is not the only place that U.S. and Russian troops could potentially be on the ground together. In Syria, they are.
Right.
And there was a group of 200 Russian mercenaries that decided to try and take a U.S. base out in Syria.
It didn't work out too well.
No, they got returned to their component molecules. So I think Putin should keep that in mind.
Well, again, it's the question is how far we might go in supporting those people who are fighting for freedom in Venezuela. But I'm just wondering, particularly after what happened in Syria, where the Russians saw that we were serious about protecting our interests, whether they're in Syria or Venezuela or any place else. Do you think Russian troops would really be willing to give their lives to support this clown, Maduro?
I think it is a provocation designed to create a response, and I think the question is, nobody wants a military confrontation here, and the amount of troops that the Russians sent is not enough to even make a dent. We probably have more people hiding in the jungle there than they brought in on those planes, but the bottom line is there could be a situation where we feel obligated to protect people, you know, like Guaido's chief of staff and other people who are being kidnapped and picked up. There is no way the U.S. can countenance this, having decided that Guaido is the rightful ruler. So I think there's an upcoming confrontation that hopefully won't go to military action.
Well, and the one thing that I find very hopeful is that there are a lot of desertions now, not at the top. I mean, there are only a handful of people at the top.
Shalom to Shalom. And to that, we like to say, Kal Halayam La Allahayna wa Yahawa Basham Shai Basham Kakudash. Double honors unto the apostles and others of great mission who well. Shalom unto the brothers that pushing this works of truth and sincerity, each other for unto the earth, and shalom unto the Israelites who have been scattered among the hidden nations, and shalom unto the sisters, the few and faithful Aquatium. You know who the sisters who is learning, you know, and being humble and obeying the husband. This is the brother Karatazar from the GMS Fatih Bible Camp, bringing you another video. Alright, so you all can see what's going on. Alright, all you can see what's going on through the past days, the past weeks, the past months. The tension has been rising day by day by day. By the minute, the tension has been rising. Now, Trinidad and Tobago, you know, are at a level now where anything can pop off at any given time. Anything can happen at any given time. And here we have 2/3 partying, drinking, this and that. It's the same thing, you know, like back in the days of Moses, when Moses was trying to warn them, tell them, hey, what's coming, what's going on. And you know what? They pay him no mind. They continue, right? When the Lord said he flooded out people who was partying and doing this and doing all the pleasures of the flesh, they're doing what they're doing, you know, and that's just it. That is just it. All right, and hey, hey, things are ranking up again. We're seeing how the prophecies are being fulfilled. All right. There's a book of Ecclesiastes 5:15, and it said, "Be not ignorant of anything in a great or in a great matter or small." Right, and some people, you know, in the country, you know, they're watching this, you know, and they think, hey, not going to happen and this and that, because they watching it on a small matter, but it's a big matter, because once anything pop off, it's going to be the food chain are going to be blocked, right? Because Trinidad and Tobago is dependable on 90% of the resources outside. Food chain going to be blocked. Different goods, different cargoes, the tourism going to become on a strict hold. People don't know the magnitude of what a war does actually cost, right? What is going to happen? There's going to have a mandatory in terms of funding food to the military, and then the other percentages where the public will get. That is going to be a drop in within food. You're going to have that also. That's where the famine will begin. right? So imagine people who not even having right now. Imagine for when that time come, what will happen? You're gonna have a lot of break-ins, a lot of robberies, wars. Even areas are going to be warring against areas. And this is what it is. People don't understand the magnitude of what a war that actually, what a war causes, what it do. Right? Hey, this thing's serious. Alright, there's a book of Matthew 24:6. It said, "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, for the end is not yet." Right? For the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nations, as you see what taking place, right? And kingdoms against kingdoms, and there shall be famine and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. You see what's going on? Like all the wars taking place, the rumors of wars, some countries wars on start, right? Different things going on, right? Different kingdoms fighting against each other, right? Taking for instance, we're going, I think, in Sudan, where they're killing somebody, where they're killing out, the Christians, right? Look at what's taking place there. Look at what's going on, right? But hey, these two things are being warned. So when the judgment comes down upon you, you have no excuse. You have no excuse at all, right? Matthew 24:8, and all are the beginning of sorrows. All are the beginning of sorrows. Right? The people are going to get a rude awakening. A rude awakening. Also, once anything pop off, you're gonna get a drop in current. Current gonna be going and coming. Also will have no electricity at all, because why? They ain't getting that supply, the efficient amount of gas and these kind of things to run these stations. Right? People don't understand the magnitude of what is about to take place or potentially take place. Right? You're seeing it building up tensely, intense. Right? But for those, who scoff and mock and who saying, yeah, God is actually, yeah, as the Lord say, this is what the Lord does say here. Right? And in that time, right, this is Proverbs 1:26. I also laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear cometh. Right? And these are serious things. People take these things for granted. Right? But nevertheless, they have forgotten their true power. They remove far from the Lord, far from Yahweh Hashem Yeshai. Right? But they just a quick insight of the news. Just a little heads up, in terms of what going on and stuff like that, and the scriptures to back it up as well too. Right? So hey, I hope that is this lesson was edifying, and to that I like to say Kal Halayam La Alahayna wa Yahweh Bashim Shai Bashim Kakadash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of great mission goodwill. Shalom unto the brothers that pushing his works in truth and sincerity to folk on the earth. And shalom unto the Aquatium who's listening and learning, being the husband. This is your brother Kratazar. Until next time, shalom.